Happy Mother's Day! Today we're going to talk about my favorite found mothers in books. So in Canada today, on May 9th, it is Mother's Day, and in the States as well. So I want to celebrate in a little bit of a different way. So we are going to talk about found mothers. The way I am terming a found mother is someone who is not biologically related to a child that they are taking care of or that they are guiding in some way. This is very intentional of mine. I really find myself connected to books about adoption, and I love that storyline when it comes to different characters or different arcs. I feel very connected to it, and I love that personal growth. I do want to one day be a part of that journey for someone, and so I really do personally feel connected, and I wanted to show some of those favorite characters that I read about. So starting off, we're going to go with a classic, which is Jo March from the Little Women trilogy. This particular book is Little Men. This is where she is the found mother. She is running a school where she is basically taking in all of these young boys or young preteens who just need some love and care, and she is definitely up to her elbows in it sometimes. I think that this book is not the best book in the world, but I love Jo as she is doing her best to really care for all of these children in different ways, and they definitely have different needs, and sometimes life gets messy, but she is definitely doing her best to take care of all of these children. I think I just love how Jo grasps life and shows the boys in her life and the girls in her life just to grasp life and never let go. And she does that with all of the children around her and all of the adults around her. As well as that, she also shows them that sometimes you have to buckle down and get into the nitty-gritty of life and work hard, and you can't just sit down and wait for life to happen for you. You have to just do things. And so I really think Jo is a great found mother. My second found mother is Rosa Hubergman from The Book Thief by Marcus Zusak. I think that she is a rough woman who is going through a very difficult time in German history. This is an amazing story about Liesel, who is going into their home as a foster child, technically, but she's really being adopted by them. And she is not really sure of what to do in this new home. She's told to call them Mama and Papa. And so she does. But at the same time, Rosa is very offsetting, and she is gruff, and she is mean. But she's not. She has a very kind heart. And she knows that in order to survive this war, she's going to have to teach Liesel how to toughen up. But at the same time, she's also going to have to go through incredible things. They go through so many hardships as a family in this book, and they get incredibly close. Liesel and Rosa have to lean on each other along with Hans as a family unit. It's just brilliantly crafted as a relationship, but I think Rosa really does care for Liesel, and it really shows in how they bond. Even though they're from two very different generations and very different approaches to life, Rosa takes care of Liesel, and she guides her, and she helps her, and she really truly does care what happens to Liesel after the war and during the war, and trying to help her protect and take care of those who she loves. Rosa is someone who comes off as very brittle and very tough, but truly she is someone who has a very kind heart, even though she hides it under that gruff exterior. The next found mother is Juliette from the Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Pie Society. In this book, you have a group of people who are taking care of a single child on the Guernsey island when Juliette is writing letters to the group. And it is a little bit of a spoiler for this book, so be warned. If you don't want to know any more, skip ahead till this book is no longer on the page, on the screen. But in this book, when she starts to take care of Kit on her visits, I think this is definitely an idea of a found mother. She is looking after Kit in a very intentional way. She really starts to bond with her, and it comes across at the end when you see that she intends to take care of her in a long-term and permanent way. I think that that really does show the intent of Juliette to see this relationship go into a long-term mother-child relationship. And I think that that really does reflect in Kit's personality and Kit's relationship with Juliette. I think that this shows how Juliette is really what Kit needs, a one person, one stabilizing unit that she can really rely on, even though she has all of these uncles and aunts in her life, but she needs one person that she can always go home to, even though she's been bounced around, and that's great while she's been waiting for a mother, but she needs a mother. And I think that Juliette is that perfect person for her when her mother is no longer available. So I love Juliette and Kit's relationship in this book almost as much as the romantic relationship in this book. The next book I'd like to talk about is The Language of Flowers by Vanessa Diffenbaugh. This one has the relationship of Elizabeth and Victoria. Elizabeth is the foster mom of Victoria when Victoria was a child, and she was going to be adopting Victoria, but then things happened on the court date which tore them apart. But this relationship was definitely a stabilizing factor in Victoria's childhood. So that was definitely a key element in Victoria's memories. And then as an adult, as this book does follow Victoria's aging out of the foster system, that is a prominent factor in her memories as she grows up. So this is part of her psyche as she is moving on. And then Elizabeth is a prominent factor later as she is an adult, and she still wants that mother-daughter relationship as they are older. It is beautiful, and I love the childhood moments that we see them as a mother-daughter relationship. It comes together in a way that shows Elizabeth is not a perfect person, but she is trying to be there for Victoria in a way that really does scream at, people aren't perfect, but there is a relationship and there is trust that needs to be built, but it can be there. And Victoria just wants to be loved, and she's testing and she's trying, but she wants to be loved and she wants to be totally accepted in all ways. And I remember it being beautiful. I need to reread this eventually, but it was a great, great book about adoption or fostering and the hope to adopt. My next book is Anne of Green Gables by Lucy Maud Montgomery. This one is definitely about Anne and Marilla. Marilla is someone who is not the easiest person to like from the beginning, but then you like her as the book progresses. She definitely is a little abrasive at the beginning of the book. She doesn't trust Anne. She thinks Anne is just out to maybe steal something. She doesn't know Anne at all, and she doesn't really want to waste time on getting to know Anne. She just wants to send her back to the orphanage as they requested a boy instead of a girl, and they got a girl. But as she gets to know Anne, she realizes that Anne is a wonderful, wonderful person. And as Anne stays, they really do connect, even though they're not the same person in any way. They have not much in common, but as the book progresses and as the certain sad event happens, they have no choice but to rely on each other, and it really does show how close they are. It even is such an impact on Anne's life, this relationship, that one day she names her daughter Marilla. Anne is so impacted by Marilla and her motherly relationship to Anne that she wants to be always connected to a Marilla. It is such a treasure to her. My next book is Promise Me Tomorrow by Lori Wick. This one is about Rusty. She is a feisty young woman. I think she was 18. It's been a while since I've read it, but she is going to drop off these children at a home, and she is escorted by this man named Chase. And when she is escorting him, she ends up meeting his son. He is a single father. And then along the way, through a series of events, she gets offered to be a live-in nanny. And eventually they develop feelings. And during that time, they obviously get married. It's a romance. What can you say? However, she definitely becomes a mother to his son before they get married. In the sense, she chooses to have that relationship with the child that no one else will have. She chooses to be silly with him and to have fun with him. His name is Quentin. I was forgetting it for a second. But she chooses to have fun with Quentin. She chooses to run with Quentin and play with him. And I think she even calls him Quinn. She gives him a nickname, which no one else has. She just wants him to be a child, and no one else has. They've always treated him like a grown-up because that's what the old nanny did. And for once, he is excited and accepted to be who he is. And it is a beautiful story. I've always loved this one for what she let him be, because she let him be a 4-year-old, not a 14-year-old. She didn't make him be an adult or a teenager. She let him be a child. This one was great. I really recommend it if you're wanting a book. This is book 4 in a series, but you don't have to read them in order. However, it does spoil the other relationships. But like I said, they're all romances. So you can kind of see where they're all going. So my next book is Daughter of Rome by Tessa Afshar. I'm going to say this has spoilers for this book. If you wanted to skip any spoilers for Daughter of Rome, skip till when I'm done holding this book up. But I really recommend reading this if you're wanting a found mother theme in this, or adoption theme. Anyways, I'm going to spoil it now. You've been warned. This one follows Priscilla and Aquila as they meet and then get married. This is not what I would consider a spoiler, as the Bible does say that they are married, and if you're reading a biblical fiction, that's something you should probably know going in. Anyways, this one does follow them as they are struggling with getting pregnant and they're having infertility issues. And in this day and age, that was a huge mark on a woman's character if she could not get pregnant. And so she is struggling with that a lot. And then they happen to have this beautiful moment where they have this boy with them all along named Marcus. And suddenly it's this moment where they have this child that they have been raising like a son. And she's been raising like a son for years. And she has a son already that she just needs to recognize is a son, even though it's not biologically from them. So it's beautiful. I really recommend. So the last book I'm going to talk about is The Pharaoh's Daughter by Misu Andrews. I'm going to say this one because it is about the princess of Egypt, who is obviously the Pharaoh's daughter, but she is the one who picks up Moses from a basket and saves him from being executed. This is also biblical fiction. But also, this one is where she adopts him and raises him as her own. And then there is lots of events that happen later. I think it's just a beautiful story of her taking him on, but also doing many sacrifices for him and his birth family. On top of that, it's just a beautiful story of ancient Egypt. I think it just really encompasses a lot of events through that time. I'm also an ancient Egypt fan, so I really enjoyed that, and I really recommend it. So that is one that I highly enjoyed. So these are some of my favorite found mothers in novels, along with The Pharaoh's Daughter. Please leave a comment down below. What are some of your favorite found mothers in your favorite books, or in books in general, because they don't have to be your favorite books to have a favorite found mother in it. Anyways, I hope you'll like this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe if you are new here, and I will see you next time in another video. Bye for now.